I remember that you had a show once. That was with the burritos. That was good.
I've had one of those since we've done one of these.
That's true. I didn't watch that episode, and it makes me sad because I was really excited about that episode.
It was a good one. We had a good time.
It was, wasn't it?
But I'm not ready to get wrapped up. I'm ready to level up.
You ready to level up?
Yeah.
It's been a while. Like I had MegaCon. Yeah, I had MegaCon. I went to New Hampshire twice. And I was like sick the day before MegaCon. So just for those guys who were waiting for the one that we announced and then last minute shut up, I was not feeling well. Like really bad, like throwing up.
Yeah, that's not good.
So we didn't do it.
That's not good YouTube content for what we want anyways. It's definitely YouTube content.
I mean, does the Jackass have a good presence? The Jackass community have a good presence?
Yeah. Of course.
But we need to know that we're live. So if anybody is watching, please comment. We want to see you. We want to hear you. We want to do it. For those who are first coming on, we're going to be Comics Level Up. We're going to be leveling up with some of our favorite creators. We're going to talk about their career and see what's going on. And Todd, you're a big fan of this guy.
I am. That is true. I've yet to not be a big fan of the people we've had, but there's like amounts of money, amounts of fans that I can be, and this is an amount of money that I'm a big fan of.
Right.
In terms of what I've spent on content.
Right. Well, and that's why we can't bring Smelky on. You just can't afford it.
Correct.
Smelky will drop a cover right
live. Like, all right, let me grab that. All right. God. Thanks, man.
But we'll get him. We're gonna get him. We're gonna have to do it. But you want to level up now?
You know what? Let's do it.
All right. So tonight on Comic Book Level Up, we are going to interview our good friend Jonathan Hedrick.
Jonathan Hedrick?
Jonathan Hedrick. You know anything about him?
Oh, man. What?
He did some books.
He has done some books. Let's ask him about him.
Let's do it.
Hey. Hell of an intro.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Welcome to Level Up.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on.
Of course.
How are things?
Things are good.
Good.
I can't complain.
The Level Up is still leveling?
Somewhere, some direction.
Sweet.
Yeah. In an upwards direction.
Yeah,
but
you can't level up down. So
right.
Any amount of level up in whatever direction is at least still up.
Yeah.
That's our other show, Level Down.
Yes. Level Down with I take the lead on that one.
We find people whose careers are going down the toilet. And just discuss it.
It's great.
Let's watch that dumpster fire.
Yeah, it's really depressing. But I like that, so that works for me.
There's an audience for that. There's an audience for everything.
Oh, for sure. Hey-oh.
I mean, I remember when Dale Noen, the creator of Pit, fell asleep drunk for like 2 hours. I mean, that was content. I mean, that's a level down.
It's content.
Why not?
Yeah. No judgment. I'm just telling you what happened.
It's just literally what happened.
But we're a little out of sorts. Todd and I don't have our rhythm. The two T's don't have our rhythm. The double T's, as they like to call us.
Yes, that is what they call us.
Perfect time for me to be a guest on the show.
Perfect time. We're a little out of sync. But Todd, here's one of the coolest things about this particular interview. Every other interviews we've done, I go up to like Comic Vine or some of these things and find the list of all the books that they've done. Jonathan, because he's local and because we've been around for each other for such a long time, I know his list. I don't have to look that crap up, which is really, really cool.
Yes, that's pretty flattering. Yeah.
Which is nice. I actually believe that Jonathan makes me a better creator. I really do. Get serious for just a second. Like, I believe you being locally and putting out as many books as you have make me put out more books. Except, and I'm sure it goes both ways. Like not that we have any out of house, like just getting more content out because we live in the same town.
Yeah, I could be doing this on Travis's lap right now.
Oh man,
I turned down the invite though.
I was like, we could have gotten more views. Dang it.
How wild would it be if I left this window and came to this?
Yeah, it's just like 30 seconds later. It's like, what the crap?
Let me call an Uber real quick.
Yeah.
Big reveal. We're the same guy. It's all the same time.
Oh man.
But yeah,
Tyler
it has been a very it's been an asset to have Travis and many other creators that we have locally together to bounce off of, to feed off of, to support one another. It just when you're around creative folks, you get creative, you know. So yeah, it's a blessing for sure.
Yeah, that Florida tribe is strong down there.
Yeah, I mean, we're crazy down here, you know, between, you know, poaching alligators and all those other things. Sometimes we make comic books.
Yeah, it gets the creative juices flowing.
Right.
All that gator wrestling.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy down here. I mean, we can,
right?
everyone's like talks about, hey, when's your next con? I was like, I could do a con every weekend if I wanted to. We live in Florida. Like, we literally could do one every weekend. I don't think that's profitable or smart, but we absolutely could.
It's not good for the brain, man.
No.
So many stores. And then Orlando, like signing in Orlando, there's like 14 store options. I mean, half of them are owned by Coliseum, so
Right.
there's a lot less. But
yeah, we have plenty of options, plenty of shops that have been very supportive of us. So it's to the point where it's like, I need to wait 6 months before I go into your store again. I'm doing that for you.
So let's talk about your first book. Let's talk about, and we actually had Doug Wagner on a couple of times ago. We told him about your origin story. We shared it to him. I talked to him about that. So you don't need to go over that here. And if you want to watch that, watch Doug Wagner interview. He's great.
Definitely.
But your first book was the Freak Show, the Freak Show Princess.
Freak Show Princess. Yep. That's it. Yep. Hell yeah.
Look at that.
Super
and
cool.
So talk about that, how it came to be, kind of the origin stories of this book, you know, the struggles of this book, because I know you leveled up just by making this comic. I know there was some struggles right off the bat.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'll take it back to it began with a failure, and that failure was a entry into a writing contest for a regular spot on comic book speculation investment. I may have mixed up that website name. Anyways, you know who I'm talking about, CBSI or whatever. They had a contest to be a regular writer on their website, and the rules was, you know, come up with like what your regular article would be about. So mine was going to be on brick and mortar stores. So it would be like a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, I don't know, about brick and mortar stores, highlighting them, talking to the owners, what type of things they carry. So I spotlighted a local shop of ours, Travis and I's, on 9.9 Comics, and wrote up this cool article. They posted every entry, like all 16 of us, on the website. So it, you know, people were able to review it, wrote on it, and I didn't get picked. And I was a little bummed out because I put a lot of effort into that. And what really set me off, the turning point, was someone who I was really confiding in a lot at that period of time. When I was telling them about my disappointment, they said, "Well, Jonathan, what did you expect? You're not a writer," and that like hit me. And I don't blame them for saying that, because I hadn't ever published anything. I never shared any of my writing or anything like that. Because up until then, my writing was personal. It was in, composition books. It was here and there. It was nothing that I ever put out for anyone to share. I had submitted many times short stories to like online magazines and periodicals and things like that, but nothing ever saw the light of day. So I I took that that pain, that rejection, that statement, and used it as fuel. I said, I'm going to show this person that I am a writer. Um, Shortly afterwards, perfect timing was that Doug Wagner interview. I won't, for the viewers who are familiar with that, I won't go over that again. But that was even more drive, and that was motivation, though, the positive motivation. And so I sat down and I took one of my short stories I had written and learned through self-taught over some books I checked out from the library and so forth on how to write a comic book script. And once I had it done, I was like, all right, now what do I do with it? And that's when someone in town at a local comic book shop drove me to Travis. And Travis pointed me in the direction of how to get an artist. And then, I started paying the artist, and I started seeing pages come back. And I was like, whoa, this is actually cool. What I wrote is now a thing I can see, in an illustrated picture. That artist was Ben Worrell, who suggested the colorist, and I started learning the streamlined process of making a comic book. And I realized, wow, this is something that can actually be done. I can see from point A to point B, and I was hooked from there. And Freak Show Princess, I funded it myself. I paid for like 500 copies, and no crowdfunding, and but did a first place was that 9.9 Comics, who I wrote that article about. Did a signing there. That weekend was a local con, Melbourne Toy and Comic Con. So I was able, in 1 week I had an in-store signing and a con that I was selling this one comic book I had. Hired a local artist, Dominic Perosi, to do a variant cover, and things just took off. Lots of I fast forward and skip through a lot of stumbling and things like that. But what I wanted to reiterate is it came from rejection, all that. So if I would have got that thing at CBSI, who knows?
Yeah. You could just be a columnist right now.
or not, because
Yeah.
the funny thing is, because of that article, someone read that who moved to Satellite Beach, and because they read that article, they like, oh, I'm in the same town as that guy's article. I'm going to check on that shop, and he became a
Travis
subscriber.
Gibb? Oh, okay.
and I created Travis Gibb.
Amazing.
Well, no, that guy became a regular subscriber at 9.9 Comics.
That's
so they
really
got
cool.
one subscriber.
That's amazing.
And then that guy
really
was
cool.
a serious follower of that website, and said whoever won that contest never did another article
that was
ever again. They like took their the prize of the variants that comics, whatever that was, like the other prize, and ran and never wrote anything again.
Amazing.
So
I was just in it for the comics, but
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and then what year was this?
This was 2019.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
All right, recent history.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've only been in the game for a few years, so
that's awesome. That's very cool.
Well, and the couple things that I want to point out for people who watch this, who are just trying to learn, some of the things like that he skipped over, like he had a failed Kickstarter there. He had a, well, not failed or low. Was it failed or was it low?
The first one was, I did a
Unsuccessful.
Kickstarter, unsuccessful after I'd already, had it out, but I didn't research Kickstarter. I heard of it. I hadn't backed any Kickstarter. I think I backed one Kickstarter prior to launching that one, and it wasn't even a comic book Kickstarter.
So you were out of the depth a bit on that.
Exactly. I didn't do my research. It was clunky. I think I built the whole thing just using my iPad instead of a computer. I didn't have any graphics.
Yep.
But then, through networking, through getting assistance through people like Travis and other creators, backing other people and seeing what they do and taking what I like and taking what I didn't like, I relaunched it and it was successful. It funded
Nice.
the first day. So yeah, this isn't something that you can just walk into and be instantly successful at, unless you're like Keanu Reeves, who.
But you come in with a lot more. There's a lot behind you.
Right.
Yeah.
I believe he was always an instant success, though. From Ted to the years of not working to
yes.
to John.
I do love the rejection can get you really far. It's rejection and spite are like two of the best motivators.
Yeah. And
they're fantastic, and they go hand in hand so often.
That whole season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, where Larry does the spite coffee shop, I'm like, that is me. I would do that. I would do a spite shop just to show someone.
If I had the ability to do that, 100%. Let's go.
I can relate to that so many levels.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
The other thing I want to mention too about the book too, that again for people, is when you printed it, they made it Silver Age, right? If I remember, they made it Silver Age. It's the Silver Age size book, which is not wrong, just not what you wanted. And again, because you didn't know, like you didn't know to ask for this or that,
Right. From what and no fault to the letterer, but he provided me printing files for a different printer, and I brought it to a printer that he wasn't thinking that the files were going to go to. And it's just that's the whole part of it, the project management thing. I really tripped over, and I still do from time to time, and I'm always learning how to do the next project better. I don't mean project by Kickstarter. I mean at each issue of any comic book, it has its little obstacles and challenges that make the next one a little bit better until that new challenge, I haven't come across, smacks me in the face. But yeah, it was a huge learning process, but I lived through it,
I think it's interesting that a lot of people, I think, look at like the credits and go, okay, well, the writer just writes the words and then they it shuttles down the line until it's done. Yeah. And writer/project manager would probably be a really good credit. So that, because it really does, for the people out of the know, you're having to do a lot. And I think that's really interesting to highlight. That is one of the biggest challenges. You went from an unsuccessful Kickstarter because you're just what? Mm-hmm. And then talk to a few people, get all the shit together, and all of a sudden, boom, it's successful.
Right.
And helming the ship is tough.
It is. You're seeing it from the very beginning to the very end, and after the afterlife of it too. It's always going to be your responsibility, for the lack of better words.
You can almost tell where a creator's at by opening up the first page and look at their credits page, and how close it looks like to one you'd pick up at the comic store, right? So the closer it is to that is where they're at, what year they're at on their journey. In fact, I just got one today and I looked at the credits page. I was like, oh, look at that. Look, fancy. You guys are leveling up. But what I've loved about Freak Show is, you brought it to, you have a second issue. That's the second issue is Freak Show Night. Mm-hmm. You can bind them later to Kingdom. But what's cool about it, and something that we in our area, Jonathan talked about our area a little bit, encourages, getting other people in process, giving other people chances. And you've partnered with two other writers to write parts in Freak Show, which I think is really, really cool.
Yeah, that's right. I had our friend David Galliano, who wrote Savage Bastards at Mad Cave. He did a side story called Freak Show Jester, which we used as a ash can slash stretch goal reward for the Freak Show Night campaign. And then Peter Rosette, who's also the editor of Quicksand, he wrote Freak Show Herald. And that was like one that I was able to just step back on. And he was kind enough to slap, my name at the top. Hedrick's Freak Show. All I did was review the script and was like, yeah, that's cool. That fits in this whole zombie anthology growing universe. But go have at it, man. So that's what it was always meant to be. Was wasn't supposed to be the next Walking Dead. It was supposed to be like these all these single stories that connect somehow, but just not the cop all the way for 194 issues, which was great, by the way.
I was like,
it's already been done.
You make it sound not. It's really good.
It's really good. Yeah,
it's not supposed to be that really good.
Exactly.
It's different, really good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, I mean,
really
and it was it was your second published work. It was with Second Sight, which was a huge for the year that Second Sight was big. They were a big company for a year. People really talked about it. Which I think is really cool, and you've been able to do something. Are you going to do more of this? I know that it's always like something. Eventually, you'll do one.
Right. Yeah. There's a third one shot planned, but it's I haven't put into paper yet. But it's
Queen.
Be. Oh, whoa! Someone's on the nose.
Oh, what up?
But one of these days, it's a one of these days. I'm lucky enough that there's enough projects that I need to do first. But yeah, and also with where the Freak Show titles are right now and where they've been, that needs to kind of clear.
Simmer down.
Yeah. So.
It's got to lose some of its stars.
Right. So there's no rush to get that one in front of anyone at the moment.
Nice.
That's kind of the beauty of one shots.
Yeah, exactly. I have plenty of those.
No one's like, why?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Like, all right. Yeah. Just get it out. Let's do it.
See, that's the you, that's the consumer, the like friendly comic buyer. The comic creator in me thinks the opposite. I'm like, all right, so if he does one more, that's 60 plus the 2 one shots. It's about 80. That's a small trade. Like he's gonna.
You can pack that, fill it, put some covers in the back of
it,
and a little like a script, throw a script in it.
That's where my head's going.
Maybe a crossword puzzle.
Yeah, you're Carl Weathers from Arrested Development. It's like, yeah, we just throw this in here. We got a soup going on.
All right. So next one, if my history is correct, was the Recount, right?
Whoa.
Capable #1 came out
before the Ashcan?
Public. Before that, well, somewhere along the same lines. I think Capable 1 went to print before the Ashcan did for Recount. Yep.
Let's talk about Capable. For people who don't know what Capable is, and you can get it at comic stores, let's talk about it. Let's give this one a little bit more depth. Not that we didn't give enough for the other one, but.
But Capable #1 was the second script I ever wrote, and that's I also fully funded myself issue 1. The first time it was crowdfunded was for issue 1 and 2, but Capable is my superhero story. It set in a world where people with disabilities mysteriously gain superpowers that are opposite of what their handicap is. And it focuses on a high school kid named Derek, who is a wheelchair user and wakes up one day and he's a speedster. So his life gets dramatically changed, and so does the whole entire world, who starts to have to adapt to these people who were not the front of society, and now they're superior to society, how that would look. So it's Cable's my pride and joy out of all comic books I have written, will write. I'm super proud of this this comic book more than anything else, and thankfully it found a home at Advent Comics and came out in the mainstream distribution this past Wednesday. So, yep.
Wait, what?
Todd, you didn't know that?
I have it. I couldn't find it. So
Oh,
but I own the Advent, but like there's a mainstream.
Yeah.
Sorry
yeah.
to pump the brakes. That just happened.
Yeah,
That's
last week.
amazing. Oh my god.
So
With a
Through
beautiful new cover too. Beautiful new cover.
yeah, I mean the Kickstarter cover got redressed for the A, but there's also
Sure.
a new variant cover that wasn't used for any of the Kickstarter campaigns by Gabriel Ibarra, who was the artist for the first 3 issues of
Cool.
Recount.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Who's it through?
Advent Comics.
Advent Comics. All right,
Yeah.
where's my sticky note? This might be my first having to take notes because I tried to do my research before, and apparently I missed something, and I'm just genuinely excited.
It happens.
I have. I know that there was a little bit of problem. Is the second one been solicited yet? Is
It
in
has
there?
not.
Okay.
Not sure what's going on there. Advent's a
It happens.
small
Yeah.
publisher, so that's indie comics for you. And Scout does their 2-3 month launch initiative thing, anyways. So it's not like it's unheard of. But I'm hoping that it'll be in. Obviously, June's catalog can be viewed right now, so hoping issue 2 will be in July's catalog.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
we'll see.
Sweet. Amazing. It's really good. I
Thank
really
you.
enjoy it.
I
And
appreciate that.
The
Yeah.
premise alone is like worth entry because
Yes.
it's a really interesting premise, but it's really well done.
Thank
Art's
you.
good, writing's good. I really enjoy this book.
It's a lot. It's been a lot of fun to write, and I've already completed all 7 issues. The script's done. Pencils and inks are done on all 7 issues. So I've seen the ending of Capable,
Nice.
and I'm so happy with the way the journey that it takes. It's not like how you would think it would happen.
That's
It's
good.
I like to compare it to like it. I'm not comparing it to Breaking Bad, but I'm comparing it to the journey of Breaking Bad, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you think you see where it's going, but it
Right.
still is a natural conclusion, but it's
Right.
not what you would think of from the beginning.
Something along those lines. We look at this cover, cover for number 1. We see a smiling kid in a wheelchair.
Yep.
But it is dark, and it is
Yeah.
that for mature readers is a
Yeah, I was
serious
saying
statement.
if I put this up, you can really see 4 mature readers.
Right.
That's
It's important.
Legit.
Yeah. I'm not messing around by that.
Yeah. It does look like you take that off and you're like, oh, this is in the kids section accidentally.
And I've had it was attached to a different publisher at one point, and they said, we're going to put this in our all ages imprint, and I said, no.
No, please.
But and then that
And they
also
read
set
it?
off- yeah, exactly. That set off an alarm. Like, wait a minute, did you
Yeah.
read the comic book before you wanted to sign this?
Right?
And then
Oh,
all the
man.
other things started to make sense after that with that.
It
publisher.
all came together.
Yeah.
Random funny story that I'll tell you about from back in the day. So remember when Brian Michael Bendis hit?
Mm-hmm.
There's a book, I believe it's called Lilith, that Brian Michael Bendis didn't write. That they used the name to get their comic book published. He won't sign it. It's really crazy. And they got it published. I believe it's actually through Image, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they used his name, submitted it as a pen name.
Hilarious.
Yep. Because I went up to him one day and asked him to sign it. He's like, I never wrote that. And then explained the whole story,
That's
which is
wild.
crazy because once people get a certain level, like, you can leverage that level, which is good, right? Like, we want our names to be leveraged, but it can also be leveraged for bad. It can also be
Yes.
put in the wrong section if someone doesn't have a good conversation.
That's why
Right.
that's why I have a Random House book under Stephen King.
Right.
I thought that was Stefan King.
Wild. Yes, it is actually it's PH. Yeah.
I am Stefan King.
Stephen King. Hello.
So with this book, this is 7 issues. So you must be so excited to finally get it and finish it off. Especially with it being done, you've seen the ending and getting to that final arc and trade. It's going to be a fat trade, right?
Yeah.
24 pages each, right?
24 pages, all 7 issues, plus the Harry's Day, which is another 10 pages. I would hope that gets included in the trade. So that's a pretty decent trade paperback right there.
Wow.
So I hope that sees the light of day. You know,
Jonathan's coming out with an omnibus before he starts.
That's almost two trades. Yeah.
right.
I bought a whole trade for one issue of Gideon Falls, so I think that's two trades.
Well, you know that to get media mail, you know, we say a lot of things are graphic novels in ours.
Right.
Yes.
The definition is wishy-washy.
Yeah,
Whatever it takes to save that extra $2.
Yes. That adds up.
Yeah.
So that means somewhere wishy-washy from Capable, we have
Dun dun dun.
the Recount.
Yes.
More obviously dark.
Right. So Recount number 1 was the third script I ever wrote. And then that came to the light of day. Yep, that's the gorgeous Joe Picardo metal cover and the infamous Brian Silverback Scarface cover that everyone asks me for. They're probably going to ask me for that at every signing I go to for the rest of my life. I don't have any more of the Scarface cover. Number 6.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So, you know, even fewer.
Yeah.
Well, isn't there like 5 versions of the Scarface cover?
Yeah. Oh, so
you can get one right now on a link that's in the description.
I think there's Comic Tom 101 did like a variant of the Brian's variant, where the hair looked a little different, and they did like a negative version, like a red version, and so forth. So
it's very variant.
Yeah, the variant of the variant. Well, it was cool too that they did that because it got like a second life, you know, because people really dig that cover, you know.
Oh yeah, it's a whole thing. I paid more money than it was not retail for my copy.
Yeah.
So what is the Recount if someone's been living under a rock?
Yeah, it's your third script. What is this third script about?
So
far it's
all over the place. So the Recount is it asks the question: what if people were held accountable for who they voted for? That's like the what if scenario, and it's what I like to call a anti-political. And essentially, it's about this corrupt president who gets assassinated by his own Secret Service detail during his resignation speech. And shortly after that, the conspirators of the assassination announce to the public that they're not done yet. They're going to take out anyone who helped put that president into power, including the voters. And then they release the voting information to the public and encourage people to join them in their agenda. So I call it like a Jack Ryan, Tom Clancy meets The Purge type story.
So another all ages book.
All ages. You can find it.
This was a Scoot, right?
It was a Scoot. Yep, it was Scoot's first Scoot's launch title.
Yep, the Recount.
But yeah, they forgot to put Scoot on there.
It was
a happy accident, I guess.
Yeah.
What I love about this book is not just the writing, but like I've seen you at shows talk to military people who they can clearly tell your military, like your background, and talk to you for hours about the military aspect of it. I've seen people who are like, just got it because of the 6th, January 6th. They were just like, oh, I got it. Then I found out it's so much more than that. And I've got, I've seen people who are just like, my comic store was all in, and then Comic Tom was all in, and all these different like spec people, and then they're like, and then I actually liked the story after I bought this. Great, I'm glad you bought 8 covers before you read it. That's great.
Right.
But I love watching the different audiences and how it speaks to them, which I think is rare for books. I think most books, they have one message and it speaks to them, but you speak to various different communities, and I've seen them all come up to you and love it when I've seen you at cons do this book.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's definitely put me in a spotlight. It really drew more legs than I thought it was going to have. And yeah, I've had people, a lot of people that are fans of it come up to me, and a lot of people assuming different things about me because of it too. I think a lot of people
Hmm.
at one point thought I leaned one way, and then
Sure.
a real life election happened, and they thought I leaned another way.
Amazing. That's
So,
great.
but
I
yeah,
love it.
it's 100% non-agenda based. I hate politics. That's
It's
why I
just a
start.
story.
Yeah, it's just this fictional story. I've heard someone use the term speculative fiction, but
Hmm.
it kind of goes along the lines of
Sure.
that genre. Even though I don't want people to assume that I wrote like this could happen. It's
Yeah.
just like this is what happened in this story,
Sure.
and that's it.
Same way X-Men could happen.
It could. You just put a little bit more red dye number 5 in our Skittles,
Yeah.
and
We're so close.
come on, I want to walk through walls.
Yeah, right. I want to.
Yeah. Right, come on,
Uh,
jeez.
but that's really interesting. I like the idea that like people's agendas reading the book
Mm,
make them probably view you in
yes,
whatever light they are viewing the story through.
right,
When really it's just like I was just thought it was an interesting story
yeah,
and just wrote it, but people are pulling a lot of meaning from, which is kind of a classic writer's like
yeah,
trope. Like you write a story and then people read it 12 times
it-
and start seeing things in it
right,
that
yeah,
you were just like, oh, that was just like one-off dialogue.
right. They form their own opinions, and we made
That's
sure
cool.
we
That's
we
awesome.
we took our we made sure that we weren't going to try to emulate anything in real life. Like, I said from the get go to the artists, none of these people can look like, don't model them off any
Yeah.
current or even fairly recent political person at all. I remember the colorist Sunil turned in a page once and someone's hat was red. I was like,
Oh,
hey, Sunil, you probably don't know because you live in India, but red hats mean something over
just
here.
make it green and we're fine.
Yeah, turn that thing green, buddy.
Man, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and I think political fiction has the ability to do that. I think that's what's great. I remember watching House of Cards
Oh,
Oh,
and like
yeah.
then finding out he's Democrat. Like I was like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, look at this dirty Republican, and I was like, oh shit, he's a Democrat. My bad.
Oh,
yeah.
yep.
And I'm a huge fan of House of Cards.
Sure, yeah.
Mhm.
I marketed
Okay.
this book too at like House of Cards meets The Purge as well,
Yeah.
because I like
Okay,
that
yeah.
whole everyone in DC is a piece of crap. They're
Right.
all out there for themselves and they're
Yeah.
using you just for their own game. And that's kind of what is really happening.
Well,
you
yeah,
know?
it's because it's the wealthy versus the poor is the actual
Right,
thing, but then because yeah, exactly.
right.
I
And
love it. I think
it
that's
just
super
had
interesting.
an eerily relevant vibe because
Oh
issue one
yeah.
came out right after a real life presidential election.
Mm-hmm.
January 6th happened in between that gap between issues 1 and 2. So it just our life imitates art sometimes.
Yes.
So
Well,
It's
and
really
that's just
cool.
it's a comic story,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
I was listening to Tyranny the Fourth talk about why Something Killing the Children blew up as much as it did.
Oh yeah.
Why because very similar reasons, but even if you go even further, um, what should I say? I said Something's Killing the Children. Sorry, I was thinking Department of
Department
Truth.
of Truth.
Sorry, Department of Truth.
Department of Truth. There we
But
go.
let's go to Something's Killing Children because the reason why that blew up, if you realize, Walking Dead had its last issue
Mhm.
randomly. No one knew it. James Tierney didn't know it, and there was nothing to forward him to that was horror because horror wasn't the trend at the time.
Right, right.
So that was the book that you referred him to. So that's why it exploded, and it's so
Yeah.
interesting. Just these little things, outside interferences, the right time, the right thing, and trying to be relevant. Is such an important aspect in leveling up in comics.
Yeah. And I'd say some people, ooh, much coveted right there.
Uh-huh.
I would say some people try too hard to time a comic book to something,
Right?
and I've been accused of trying to market off of the January 6th events, like as if I could have pushed out a 4-issue miniseries that quickly or anything like that.
But
But
then this is what comes out after that.
Exactly.
It's just wild because
Yeah.
January 6th happens, and then you go to your comic book shop,
Mm.
and this is the book that's sitting there.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like how interesting. And then we
But
get
I think it did throw some people off away from the book too. I think there's a lot of people out there that want escapism, and it
sure.
was just too much on the nose for them, and I can appreciate that. I just would hope that they would give it a chance, knowing that it's not intentionally supposed to be that
Yeah.
eerily relevant. That was all an accident, and if you read it, it's really not that close to what's going on in our real world.
It's not. This is way more intense.
Yeah.
Like
Now,
people who are connecting these like they were 1-to-1, it's
Mm.
not even
Yeah.
remotely the same. It's
I
very
agree.
different. There's connections to be had, but you can do that.
You can do that with almost anything.
Yeah.
but there was timing, if I remember correctly. I believe it was you who did want it around the election. There was some timing,
Yeah.
just not the big
Right.
time.
Didn't expect that.
I thought that would be pretty cool.
Right,
know?
sure.
I was like, that's pretty cool. If we could do that, but it. I've obviously no say what Scout does.
Right.
So how that happened in my favor, it's luck, I guess.
I mean, it was a perfect storm. There was, man, I feel like there was like 3 months because that was in the heyday when we were really in the YouTube and too,
Mhm.
and Recount was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was something that was just constantly talked about, and it was good timing. The
Yeah.
election, the book's great on its own. I think it could have caught buzz on its own, but it was just like a perfect storm.
Right.
And
Yeah, it was also during a time when a lot of people were, COVID was happening, so we were doing, I think we were reading and diving into
so
comics
much.
a lot more too. So we
Yeah.
were looking for, certain things more. So yeah, COVID was also a blessing in disguise and played
Mhm.
a huge part into my
Scout
leveling
box.
up too. So
The Scout box.
the
That's why I
Scout
have
box.
this.
Yeah,
It might be coveted. I was just getting the Scout box because time sucked.
yeah,
I wanted more comics, and this showed up with it, and it was great.
yeah. I love
Yes.
that little can.
Oh,
So
it's
before we
good.
jump off the recount,
It's probably the best Ash can that came out.
Thank you.
It was
Thank
the
you,
one
thank
that made me be like, I need this book.
I remember when he got the Ash Cat, I was at the comic store and he brought him in. He was so excited.
I was handing them out.
That's
How do
awesome.
And
know?
I had to embarrassingly go because he gave it to owners and people. I was like, you remember your boys? You already outgrown us? What's going on?
If I could go back in time and take all those back, is it like $100 on the secondary market?
Yeah, that's a lot now.
Yeah. I literally got 100 copies of those from Scout,
Oh man.
and I gave away the majority of them. But I don't regret that at all. I love giving away my comic books to a certain
Think of
extent.
how many
of
people
course.
love to be able to say that that's how they got theirs.
Right.
There's a lot of people who got trades because of that. So
Yeah. Who
it
knows?
happens. That's cool.
Danny has some words.
I still have people coming in and asking about the next one. That doesn't happen with every title.
Yeah.
It's very cool. And
Jay
Jay
says
says
he's one of
I'm
the-
one of them.
He got one.
Nice.
Oh, and I bonded with a guy at a comic shop in West Palm over Recount earlier this week.
Ah,
There you
It's still
go.
happening. 2023.
imagine that.
No,
Going strong.
I would say that every con I deal with him, like there's someone when they find out Jonathan's coming, I would say, would you say like probably every other con, someone's like, all right, let's do another cover.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do another cover. I'm like, all right, if you want to keep on going to that well, I guess, but
Any update on the Plato Incident?
no updates on the Recount movie. Sorry, guys. I'm as in the dark as you all are. So
The update is no update.
exactly.
So before we move forward, because we got a few more books. You have a long list of books. You may have more than me. I have to count. I have to see where we're at. If you were doing the trade now that you have Preamble out, which is a great one shot, amazing one shot. Actually, I believe that that is for me. I think it's the best one shot story that I've seen you do. That's really put together. That's really I don't think you need recount for it. I think you could
Right.
never have bought recount and been okay and got a really good story out of it without even knowing what comes after.
Right.
But would you ideally put that in the volume 1 trade, or would that be in the volume 2 trade?
It would be in the volume 1 trade. Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah. I would love to see a deluxe edition of the recount that
Kick it off with the
contains
preamble
and volume 1.
It'd be wild to never have read recount and just start with the preamble
Yeah.
and go from there.
Right. Full throttle.
If only to be able to do that. It'd be
Yeah.
so much fun to just wipe and go from there.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Todd, I want to see what you have next.
What's up, Blake?
What do you think's next?
And then he says,
Blake's
"Me."
buzz, buzz, baby.
Blake.
Oh, Blake. Hey, buddy. What do I have next? I have them in alphabetical order, not in chronological order, because I do graphics and info, and then I read the comics. I don't worry about chronological order because that's
like I do.
What you do. I
all right,
offload
so
that.
I'm gonna. So I believe
Hyperspace?
Space Cadet was
Dang,
next.
dang it.
Space Cadet.
Space Cadet was next. Yes.
Got it.
And I don't have that one.
All right.
I blame Comic Vine.
You want to? All right, so let's talk Space Cadet, which has been amazing seeing the love of it. I think it's a great book.
Yeah, Space Cadet came from two different things happened. It was me needing to decompress after the recount, and then also Freak Show Night had been published by Second Sight and got some decent exposure and sales and eyes turned on it. So Stefano, the artist of Freak Show Night, was like, "What do you want? Do you want to do something else, Jonathan? Should we do a sequel to Freak Show Night?" And I was like, "Well, I was thinking of something different." and Stefano, Bram Stoker award-winning, gore, heavy metal magazine artist. I said, "Would you be okay with doing an all-ages story?" and he said, "Absolutely." And I wanted him to do it because I learned through Freak Show Night to not box Stefano Carticelli into 7 panels a page. And I thought an all-ages story would be great if it was all splash pages, and he would really excel at that, where he can just cut loose. So, and that was also around the same time where Scout launched Scoot, and I was like, "Oh, I got to be a part of that." I looked at that launch as a personal challenge. Like, can't I write and get published an all ages book?
Finally do that all ages book that should be there.
Right. But and yeah, that's what came from Space. That's how Space Cadet came to be. It also was, a little bit of my me growing up here in the Space Coast, seeing all the shuttle launches and being inspired by it, and imagine when you grew up here in Brevard County near, Cape Canaveral, every kid thinks they're going to be an astronaut one day because every field trip is to the visitor center, and it's rockets this, astronauts this. So okay, I can be an astronaut.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how the Space Cadet came to be, and super proud of that little book. And cool. Yeah.
Well, let me tackle that just a little bit. So we had a space launch yesterday. Did you go out and see it?
No, because we have so many now, Travis.
There's a lot of them now.
Yeah, it's like they're back to back. It's like I walk outside and I'm like, oh, there goes another rocket launch.
There's as many launches as there are cons in Florida now.
Right.
Yeah. There's about the same. I would wager to say there's about the same. So my wife comes in and she goes, "Hey, let's go see the space launch." And I was like, "No, I'm good." Yeah. Much like Jonathan. But I don't think it's the same thing. I think it's because I don't live in Florida. I didn't grow up in Florida. And the first space launch that I remember as a kid was Kristen McCall blowing up.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, that's the first one because she was from New Hampshire. I can't think of her name right now. But she was from New Hampshire. So our whole gymnasium of school got together and watched this tragic event in second grade.
Generational trauma is super fun to witness.
Yeah. So I think that's why I don't get too excited when they're here. Yeah. It's interesting, which is the opposite because you're in Florida. So,
right.
There's that extra. My wife she did half Mass and half Florida. So I think that's interesting. All right,
Half
so
Massachusetts. I was
Ooh.
like half Mass, half Florida. What does half Mass have to do with it? Because I heard Mass.
half Mass.
I was very confused. Got it. All right.
All right. So the next one, now this is where it gets hard.
Yeah.
I am gonna go Quicksand was before Hyper Aware.
But Quicksand's also
Even though
right
you probably-
now.
Right. How does it happen?
And right
Where are we in time?
Look at see this. I just got this.
Yeah. Well, thank you for picking that up, Todd.
Hey.
Yeah. So I never explained this publicly before, but since this is a level up,
Yeah.
Quicksand came from another rejection story. So around the same time, shortly after Recount came out, I was approached by a publisher to start pitching them written pitches without artwork, and I was like, whoa, that's super cool. Like, you put the team together and you pay for everything. So this was a big deal for me. And I gave them Quicksand and I put everything into it. I was like, I had character bio. I didn't hand them all this stuff. I gave them 2 pages like they asked for, but I had more that I did for myself. I really put so much into it. And, they rejected it and I was heartbroken. And I was like, I'm still going to do something. I love this so much. It has all the bones are already there for this. So I said, Spike comic. And I started producing it. It's 3/4 of the Recount. It's me, Sunil, the colorist, and Christian. And luckily I found Deborah Lanchinese, who's a fantastic artist, who's been just a godsend. She can just turn over pages at like a Marvel's pace, and they're good. So I crowdfunded Quicksand 1, and if I'm not mistaken, it's one of my highest dollar funded campaigns. Maybe the first or second one, but really enjoyed that one. And now here it is, published by Scout, and the other who turned it down is bankrupt. So it's like everything happened, the way it was supposed to.
Did you email them back? It's like, hey, too bad you didn't get Quicksand.
Do you want some comps?
You'd still be around. You want some comps. Amazing. That would be the best spite email.
But yeah, it goes back to what happened with Freak Show Princess. That came from rejection. Quicksand came from rejection. So I'm not going to go circle around that whole thing again. But I'm happy that it turned out the way it did, because I might have been one of those creators that didn't get paid for that work. So,
and just didn't know what to do with it after that and all that. Yeah.
If it makes you feel, not to be negative, but the writers didn't have a problem getting paid. It's all the artists. So you would have been fine. It's just your whole team would have paid.
Good. Nice guilt-free win there.
You know why? Because we're paid the least, Todd. That's why.
It's the easiest one to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's your whatever.
Here's your 25.
Oh, just write the check. No big deal.
Here's your Costco membership card, writer.
Yeah.
I actually had that, because Tyler and I are close enough. I'll share it. When I got the Coins of Judas payment, and I had to split it, and I was just like, I hustled. I got it in Comic Store. I got us 9 variants, and you got paid. It was my idea, and you got paid significantly more than me. This is not fair. Yeah. This is not. And not just me, my wife and my letterer, the Orange Cone team. Right. Tyler got paid significantly more. It is what it is.
Specialized. It's the beauty of being very specialized in your craft.
Welcome to comics.
Yep.
So this is coming out, it's going all the way through. It's all finished, right? If I'm not mistaken.
5 issues. Yep. I crowdfunded the first 3 issues. So Scout gets the 4 and 5 to themselves. So hopefully everything works out the way it's supposed to amongst
Nice.
the comic book gods, and we'll see all 5 issues this year.
Sweet. And I'm assuming a trade to follow.
I hope so too.
Sweet.
Yep, fingers crossed.
This is always the issue because I'll grab number ones and I'll be like, I like the idea of waiting for a trade, but then the worst thing that happens is you get the number one and then the trade doesn't happen, and you're
Right.
like, now I need to go find 2 through 5.
Yeah, and
So
those
I
are
always end up getting the singles anyway.
those are the less ordered ones, so you have to
Yes.
go all over the place.
Yes, because they cut 50% after number one, so
Yeah.
it's like, oh dang it, those people all actually wanted it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this, and this is not a slight at Scout in any
Comes out in
way.
August. Sweet.
Yeah, issues in pre-order and comes out in August. Not a slight against Scout. It's any small publisher right now.
Yeah.
The paper shortage, it was easier to print single issues, so they have a backlog of trades. So even if it comes in a trade, it may be,
Could be a
a
while.
long time before you get it because
Yeah.
there's a backlog they're trying to go through.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, but yeah, I hope it goes to trade. I think it's a great story. I'm really eager for people who have already read the first 3 issues to see 4 and 5 and the conclusion of it. So, yeah, it's a real cool story.
What was it like having 3 issues drop in 1 month? That's pretty baller. That's pretty baller. Did you get some special sodas to celebrate?
Well, Blake, I did have, I think it was a cherry vanilla surge today.
Cherry vanilla surge?
Yes.
Did you roll down a hill? And,
I remember
into
that
some
commercial
mud and everything.
It was at Burger King when I went. My
Oh,
wife and I went in to get
amazing.
the Spider-Verse burger with the red
Nice.
bun, and I was looking at their fancy Coke machine,
The
which is like,
freestyle.
yeah, it's like playing a slot machine, but at Burger King.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
you always win soda. So it was a cherry something flavored surge, and it was delicious. So that was my
Nice.
celebration for my 3 comic books that came out this month. And
Amazing.
the best part of that is I have nothing coming out June and July. So feast or famine.
Yeah.
Indie comics.
All
It's
right.
a perfect time to do a Kickstarter campaign during that time.
Yes, you got that. It's a nice block of time.
Yeah.
So the next one is Caffeinated Hearts.
Well, Hyperware and Caffeinated Hearts released 1 week from each other. Caffeinated Hearts was crowdfunded before Hyperware, though. But yeah, let's talk about Caffeinated Hearts.
Let's do it.
Oh,
So
We got a graphic, so we got to talk.
the graphics right there.
it's up.
No, let's go back to Freak Show Princess.
Yes. It's capable.
Caffeinated Hearts, the third outing with Stefano and I. He always does this, which I love about him. We get done with a comic book. He goes, "What do you want to do next?"
Nice.
And I said, "Well, how about something? You and I really like coffee. How about we do a slice of life at a coffee shop?" And I never know. I'm always holding my breath when I propose these things to him because I'm still thinking of him as he's bald, bearded, macho Italian guy, who draws big guns and stuff
That's
like
exactly
that.
the guy that's into espresso, though.
Right, exactly. But he's like, he was down for it as long as he can make it cyberpunk themed. And I was like, oh, I didn't even
Nice.
think about that, but that makes that fits.
Oh.
So we have flying cars coming through the drive-through and everything. Cool.
That's where that theme came in.
Yeah.
That's great. I love it.
That was
that's awesome.
Stefano's ultimatum. It had to be cyberpunk themed.
It's a cool ultimatum.
Yeah. If you can draw it, buddy, go for it.
Yeah,
So,
right.
yeah, it was a fun Kickstarter campaign. We had actual bags of coffee as a stretch goal reward, which built my relationship with the Comics on Coffee folks.
Mhm.
So, and then
My dad got that and doesn't drink coffee,
oh wow,
which is great. He was
yeah.
like, I got this, and I got a bag of coffee. I was like, okay. And he was like, do you want it? I'm like, I don't drink coffee. I don't drink caffeine, man.
but it's a cool collectible.
That's a really. And I was like, that's what I said. I was like, just keep it.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Right. But yeah, it got picked up by Source Point Press, which we got a sweet little double dip. We just basically funded the Kickstarter campaign, sent them the print files with a new cover, and
Nice.
Yeah,
I have
that's
this
like
somewhere.
the
It's great.
easiest.
It's really pretty.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a gorgeous book.
It's
Um,
really pretty.
yeah, it's something totally different
And
than what
it's
I've done before. So,
yes, and it is totally different. Where did so aside from the cyberpunk,
mhm.
you had this story somewhere in you? Where did because it is while you have varied a lot, I feel like
Uh,
this is the most like I wouldn't have read it and been like, that's Jonathan Hedrick.
right. Um,
Where did this story come from?
it's just different like moments that I thought of that would occur at a coffee shop, like four different unique. I pitch it as four vignettes. It's like a G rated, maybe PG rated pulp fiction in a coffee shop. So I just imagine what are few different things that would happen at this coffee shop where the barista would be involved in all of them. You know, I drew from my struggles with addiction, my me working at at a restaurant with at a drive-through, you know, all kinds of different things, kind of just merged into caffeinated hearts. So
That's cool.
yeah.
I love it.
One
It's
of the
really
things
cool.
I want to talk to you about leveling up here when it comes to your Kickstarter, because this is kind of the last Kickstarter that you did, I think. Is this the last
The
Kickstarter?
last one I did was for Capable Five.
Cable 5. Okay. Um, Quicksand, you were such a big. All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll be right back.
uh, Quicksand, you were so in love with it that you really wanted to think outside the box. You had the patches, you
Yeah,
had all the member thing, and then
right,
this one as well, connecting with the coffee and bringing that in. My wife still hasn't drunk the coffee. I know that Blake says he hasn't drank the coffee yet. It sits there as a visual display in this beautiful coffee area that my mother-in-law brought. But what I think those are level ups too, because I think
yeah,
that most people do Kickstarters. They do here's just the book and here's
mm,
12 variant covers,
right,
where that's not. I don't think that's been you or me. Like we don't love like variant covers are a necessary evil. I'm not
right, right, right.
right.
Yeah,
I want to say if the evil is probably not a good word. They're just a necessary thing
it's
to
part of the industry. Yeah,
right, part of the industry. But we'd rather be known for our writing than for this great variant cover done
right,
by Alan Quah. And not that Alan Quah's recount is not the best cover
right, right.
in our life,
Mm,
um,
mm,
but trying to figure out all those things.
mm.
What's that like in looking for those things? Did those just come natural because your love of the properties, or did you start thinking differently about these campaigns?
Yeah, I mean, none of them came easy to think of those stretch goal rewards and those connections, but I think a lot of it is from when you do a Kickstarter, as you know, you're like living the Kickstarter. Everything else in life is second. You think, how can I promote this Kickstarter more? What else can I do? Um, and yeah, I don't want to just be like, all right, here's a sticker, here's a magnet, here's this other tchotchke. And those are great and those serve a purpose, and they're easy to do. But what else could I do to really draw people in that
Right.
hasn't been done before, but or is super unique and actually fits with this comic book? What's like an in-world type thing? So uh, doing those 2 ounce coffee bags was a huge pain.
Yeah.
Um, fitting them in a Gemini mailer, getting people on comics on coffee are fantastic, but like that took like a cohesive timing thing to get those ready in time for fulfillment. I still have a huge box back there with extra bags of those uh, coffee too, but in with Quicksand with the mission patches, that was also came from me living on the Space Coast and growing up here, collecting the patches from the actual missions, in outer space. So that kind of fit, and we were able to put that in the comic book too. With Capable, I've done like the window hangers
Right.
and stuff like that. So, you've gotten creative with yours too, with
Yeah.
the car fresheners, bumper stickers, keychains. It's don't just do it because it's something that fits easy in a Gemini mailer, but do it because it's related to it, and you can add more excitement
Right.
to the story.
Yeah, and I will say that people. Do you think, from what I've seen from monitoring you from afar, caffeinated hearts is probably the second thing that people talk to you about, right? From Recount.
Yeah, I mean, people really get drawn to that cover.
Yeah.
Stefano's art is gorgeous, and coffee is a very relatable thing. A
Right.
lot of people out there like coffee. They know what coffee is. Even if they don't like coffee, they like the coffee. The coffee background. They get the vibe of coffee. So it's a universally relatable thing.
No, I mean, I tried to have my wife do the same thing with cottage cheese, and it just didn't have the same effect.
You,
I don't
you
know.
should have done little 2-ounce packages of cottage cheese, packed it with dry ice to keep it fresh.
Just send it out to everybody. All right, Todd's on here to put up the graphic, but we're at Hyper Aware, so this
Okay.
came out like 2 weeks after, from Source Point as well. But
Right.
it has a great story behind how it came about.
Yeah. So Hyperware is just me and Deborah Lanchinese, who's the artist at Quicksand, and she approached me. It was December 2021. I remember it well because my wife and I, we were at Willis Tower in Chicago. We were there for C2E2. We were attending. We weren't guests or anything. And Deborah wanted to enter a comic book contest in Italy, where she's from, uh, so she could win this drawing tablet. And all she needed was a script. And she said, Jonathan, if you give me the script, I will handle everything else. And when it's done, you can do whatever you want with the comic book. I was like, deal. a free produced comic book. Fantastic. So I already had the idea of Hyperaware in my head for a long time. I was kind of like saving it for maybe like an 8-page anthology or something. But when she told me she needed it to be like 20 to 24 pages, I think that was the guideline. I fleshed it out a little bit more, gave her the script, and then for her to meet the deadline, she had to pencil, ink, letter, color, and letter it within 30 days, which she did. And she submitted it, and she won that contest and got that drawing tablet. And then, so I was like, well, I was in between Kickstarter campaigns. I didn't have enough time to run a campaign for that. So I just started putting out feelers to publishers, and Source Point Press picked it up, and I was like, that's easy. I'm not going to have to do anything. I don't have to crowdfund it and then give it to them. It wasn't anything I had to do anything extra for. So it worked out well.
Yeah, and as someone, you experienced it way before I did, but like it feels good to have, oh, here's just this thing that's out. Like you can enjoy, like that you didn't promote it, crowdfund it, send it out, wait for people's feedback. It's just like it's coming. Just wait till you get it. It's kind of fun.
It's one less thing to worry about, which is nice because we have plenty of other projects in motion. There's this project that's stumbling along. That's like, come on, like you're doing everything you can to get this project on track, and it's still not moving forward. So to have one that just was like handed to me and I got to hand it off was just a real blessing, and it worked out. I love Hyperaware. I've gotten a little bit more noise, but it still exists. It's out there for anyone to enjoy.
Yeah, I will tell you. Are you a Y the Last Man fan?
I am. I haven't read the full series, but yes, I love anything. Brian K. Vaughan. But yeah, it's a good.
Did you get to the astronaut scene?
No,
Oh.
no.
I'm going to spoil it because you had enough friggin' time to read it. I know your age.
Yeah.
So there's a scene in that which is really cool. So they find more men and they're in space.
Right.
And they're like, oh, we need to go back and save Earth. So we're gonna bring this ship back in and crash land it.
Okay.
Figure it out, and they basically sacrifice themselves to save the woman on board. Like,
right.
which is the exact opposite of what they needed to do because they needed more men. But
God.
they had to be men. Like reading Hyper Aware gave me made me remember that beautiful scene in Y the Last Man, which I think is what a good comic does. It reminds you of things that you love, right? We talked about House of Cards earlier and Breaking Bad.
Right.
So
Yeah. What I like about Hyper Aware is it's a very like Twilight Zone type story, and I'm a huge fan of the black and white Twilight Zone. I grew up watching the reruns when the Sci-Fi Channel was only Twilight Zone reruns. So I've seen almost all of the that version of the Twilight Zone. So yeah, that's how I pitch it to people, when I'm at a con or doing a signing. It's like, this is a really cool Black Mirror, Outer Limits, Twilight Zone type story. So, and people ask me all the time, they're like, is there going to be more? I'm like, did you read the ending? If there was a second Hyperware, it wouldn't have the impact. It would just be like this long epilogue, like, okay. But
just call it Aware. It's no longer Hyper.
Right. No longer Hyper.
Just Aware.
All right. So the next one is the first one that I'm legit jealous about.
All right.
I think it's every creator's dream to be able to get a superhero series that you get to draw right for. The goal is for me is superheroes. So I've said that very many times on this. And you got to write a very cool character that's not your own called the Dream Master.
Yes. Yeah.
For Black Box, which is pretty cool.
That's my guy, Dream Master. So, Dream Master came to me from Black Box Comics. My good friend, my other good Travis, is Travis Noakes, better known as Bueller from Comics with Bueller. Huge fan of the recount. He told Black Box Comics, who is one of his sponsors of his show, that you got to check out this guy, Jonathan. He has this book called The Recount, blah, blah, blah. And he pestered Black Box for like a year. Finally got a call with them, and sat down. I had a phone conversation of what I like to write and, stories I dig. And then they're like, okay, when we have something for you, we'll let you know. And then like 3 months went by. I was like, okay, I guess they didn't like me or whatever. But then I heard from them, and they had like a page and a half of Dream Master, of the synopsis of Dream Master. And I kind of like reverse pitched them. They pitched Dream Master to me, and I had to say, okay, this is what I would do with Dream Master. And when I was reading the synopsis, I'm like, this sounds like The Dark Tower to me. I'm a huge Stephen King fan, even Stephen King.
Stephen King, yeah.
Stephen King.
That's a throwback.
He's really awesome, I hear.
Especially at Random House.
Yes, the Random House Stephen King is great.
But I was like, Black Box was adamant that this was a horror book, and I was like, okay, yeah. But with most horror books, we kind of the main character isn't the hero. We go to watch Friday the 13th because we want to see Jason Voorhees slash people up, but and that works in comic books to an extent. But if we want to follow a hero along, horror is the background, but a horror fantasy will continue and expand the story more and give it more life and more room to breathe. So I was really I drew from inspiration with The Dark Tower, which I've been a long time fan of those books and the comic books, the movie. But
and the movie.
The movie is like a novelty. It's like, okay, cool. They're saying the words from the the book. Idris Elba's a nice guy. Like Travis, you mentioned, this is a hired gig. This is someone else's IP. I'm not the creator, but I get to flesh out Dream Master, and issue 5 came out last week, which ends the first arc, and I've already wrote the second volume, issue 6 through 10, and have a green light for the third volume. So hopefully this will something I can continue to do as long as Black Box can fund it.
No, that's great. Like I said, it's super. Like I said, it's the one thing that I can actually say that that I'll admit jealousy. I may have others, but that's the only one I'm willing to admit.
Okay.
Um,
That's fair.
because I think it's very cool. I think it's a very cool project to do stuff. I know, you and I have had not so secret conversations about like what it's like to write other people's ideas. It's
Right.
tough. It's not
is.
not anything to do with the creators. It's just we make it so much our own to be able to do that, and it's tough. It's a tough thing.
Yeah. I mean, there was some moments in while writing Dream Master where I had to explain, a certain thing that's happening, and I couldn't say just believe me, it's going to happen. No, the people that are in charge that are paying for this project need to know that
Right.
this is going to pay off. I can't just kill whoever I want to. I can't just bring back anyone I want to. I can't be like, all right, and now this is what Dream Master's face looks like.
Right.
I don't have that luxury.
Not a face.
It's not. It's just another mask. But yeah, I have to live within these guidelines, and I don't know all the guidelines sometimes. Until I'm like, all right, here's this script, and like, nope, that we can't do that yet. Save that for issue 50 if we get there. I'm like, God, but I really like that. But yeah, it's definitely been a huge learning process. Writing for someone else, but it turned out to be a great book, mainly because of how great the artwork is.
Yeah.
Luigi Baricelli is a fantastic artist, and I didn't start seeing his pages until I was writing issue 3, and I was like, oh crap, that he's that good. All right, I need to give him like more splash pages. I better put a dragon in this book or something. And I did.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, and what I think I think you played to your strengths in this book too, because I've read a couple of Black books. I think you making it very anthology-like really worked for the character, really worked for the book. It's really cool. It throws back to the old days where you could just grab an issue 3 and read it and understand it. And I believe, probably except for issue 5, you could grab 1 through 4 and understand everything that happened without any more information.
Yeah, and 5, we knew 5 had to be the end of the first volume, and but it still gives enough tease. And then the second volume, we kind of have a similar formula where here's another dreamer, here's a situation, but these dreamers are going to be different. It opens up like a bigger world in Dream Master where it's not just all right, this person fell asleep and now I gotta save them. Like there's gonna be different types of people with different types of dreams, and we really explore like what else can dream other than people and things like that.
That's cool. That's nice because you don't want to keep doing
the
same thing.
Yeah, can't do rinse and repeat. People will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After 2, they'll be like, okay.
Yeah, come on, guy.
I read a review that said Sandman done right. That's just what I said.
Oh man, I saw that one too, and I was like, oh, here I go.
I got like 3 versions. They're blurred out, but there's 3 versions of that book right there.
And that's another book I'm a huge fan of. I've read all of Sandman and a lot of the spinoffs and the Overture and Death, and it was that's one thing I was like, this cannot be Sandman. We can't go into this as Sandman.
So we're at the end of all the stuff that's been announced. I know that we have
Dream Master made me think of Sandman, and it's something that I loved, and that's a good thing because
yes, thank you, I appreciate it.
Sorry, I was waiting to put in because that's been our theme throughout the thing. Is it reminds me of things I love.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's worse things that it could be compared to. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Todd, I'm just saying, I never asked him whether or not he saw the last season of House of Cards because nobody's seen the last season of House of Cards.
I have seen the last season of yes.
Oh, what?
Whoa!
The
non Kevin Spacey one?
I watched part of it and then stopped.
It is loose.
It's a rough scene, man. Loose. That's a rough scene.
Yeah. Poor Penn.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh well.
I think Blake remembers when I threw someone off my show because he badmouthed Neil Gaiman.
Whoa.
I would do the same. That's perfect. At least we're in accord on that one.
I actually had troubles for years calling him Gaiman because, like, even though that's his name, I was just like, I don't want to call that guy Gaiman. Like I know he's okay with,
Neil Gaiman
with the people. He's
it's
very
like
pride
Spider-Man.
aware, but
it's like Spider-Man.
So talk about the other two projects that are coming up. If you want to, you don't have to. If you want to give a little tease of the two that are coming, spoil away.
So Francesca and I are working on a comic book together. It's a 32-page one-shot. Speaking of Stephen King, this is I don't want to give too much away, but it's my love letter to Firestarter. That's about as much as I want to give away of it, but it's going to be a real cool one-shot. We hope that we can go straight to. We have a publisher in mind that we're targeting for this intentionally. So we'll see if that.
Who's that exact? I'm just kidding.
Hopefully everything will come to fruition soon.
Random House, come on.
Come on, Random House. Don't make me go to Penguin.
Yes.
But then the other one is Stefano Cardacelli and I's fourth book, Spill Blood, which I announced the title and the cover recently, and that's going to be a 36-page one shot. All of our other books have been 20 pages. Maybe no, Space Cadet was 24 pages. Anyways, who knows?
In that range.
In the 20s.
Yeah.
But this is a beefy one shot. We're taking straight to Kickstarter.
Sweet.
Super violent. It's going to offend people. People are going to be upset.
Nice.
It's a strong for sure readers. If you don't like people's heads getting blown off by machine guns, then it's not the comic book for you.
I don't like that in real life.
Yeah, right. So, but what's really cool about this one is Stefano did this all digitally. He's usually pencil, ink, and watercolors. He's switched it up, and he's doing this all digital, and it's black, white, and red. That's the entire comic book is that way. So it's really cool, very Ghost Rider-esque, Punisher-esque type story. Super religious undertones, and I don't want to say undertones. It's like it's a lot of religious stuff. Yeah. So basically, it's
Boondock Saints meets
Spawn.
Ooh, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's the premise is people are going to this confessional booth at this church, and the priest is this character called Spillblood, and that's how he gets his victims. He listens to what these people are saying, and then he goes out and kills the bad people. So
it's Dexter meets Spawn,
but a priest.
Yeah, amazing.
Supernatural power. So
I'm here for it. That sounds incredible.
So you're saying all Catholics are evil, from the priest to the...
I can't wait to get that. Yeah, I mean, I've already got the political people after me.
Yep.
People calling me an ableist because of capable.
Yep.
Why don't I piss off the Catholics too?
You're doing it right, man. You're doing it right. Yep. The big three. I love it.
So
if you're not making people angry, you're not doing things right.
That's true. So we have a few questions that we ask. Everybody comes on here.
Oh,
all right.
These questions are tough. They are
hard-hitting journalism.
Hard-hitting journalism. This is what makes our show special, as we ask these questions that are 3, sometimes 4. We basically waste literally everything prior to now was a waste of time.
Okay.
Get to these 4 questions.
So thanks for being on.
In fact, when you see the episode live, Todd actually edits out everything we talked about.
It just starts here. It's all warm up.
And I believe I start out, correct, Todd? We haven't done this in a while. I think I start out.
Yes, you do.
Okay. Jonathan. Are you ready for your first question?
Yes.
Question is, what do you think makes you stand out in the current comic market?
I would say what makes me stand out is my diversity in storytelling. I've done superhero, horror, anti-political thrillers, slices of life, sci-fi thrillers, um, sci-fi tragedies. So diversity. That's how
Nice.
I'd answer that one.
Yeah. That is. Yeah.
Valid response.
It
Thank you.
is.
Thank you.
That's a strong answer. It's not wishy-washy either. So it makes you stand out. We've already hinted on rejection.
Mhm.
When you hit that, other than like what actually makes you get past that rejection, past the contact that you didn't, when it gets difficult,
Mhm.
what makes you keep going to just get it done?
I would say that because I've invested this much time already, that it doesn't make sense to stop. I've already built up the framework. Now it's up to me to continue to add the next levels. Um, it's really hard in this career in this industry to you. No one can do this alone, and you have to rely on so many other factors and people, and to let that go and just be like someone else is going to have to make a decision whether to accept that pitch, to publish that book, to carry that book in your store. You can only do so much. So, and I'm preaching to the choir, but I have to remind myself that I can only control what I do. Speaking of black box,
Hey,
hey,
we were just talking about the dream guy.
Is
He
that volume
masters.
2's title?
He
Did you
masters
feel
something.
it?
Oh man,
Guy.
I'd be in for the one shot dream guy.
no, we changed it to the Dream Mister.
Dream Mister. Mr. Dream, I presume.
But yeah, I just try
Awesome.
to remind myself, and it's not easy certain days that I'm only in control of so many things.
Yeah.
You know.
So you essentially just ignore the time sunk fallacy and just press on.
Yeah, but
love it.
it doesn't
Yeah.
happen in 24 hours. That's for sure. It's
Yeah.
usually a few days of me sulking around and
You-
kicking rocks and being mad at the world.
Yeah.
And then, but
You
if
got to
I
do
can,
that for a little bit.
yeah, of
Get it
course.
out.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
only maniacs are like, cool, rejection. I'm
Yeah.
normal now. But
Let's
if
get ice cream.
if I could circle back to that rejection, or that particular publisher that rejected Quicksand, they also
Mhm.
rejected like 10 more pitches,
Mm.
and then that happened to them.
Yeah.
But what I got out of that is a library full of pitches
Yeah.
at my disposal. So when someone does see my value, when someone does want to invest in me,
You're ready.
both of us can make some money together.
That's cool.
So it's just a matter of
You
time.
got your little Rolodex of like, oh, you're looking for this kind of
Exactly.
story? Well, look
Yep.
at this.
And I flick it at them like a playing
Yeah.
card.
Yeah.
Right in there.
Yeah.
Make some money off of that one.
Yeah. Let's go. I
All
love
right.
the idea that's your cover letter.
Right.
A playing card, or that's how he
Let's
gets
just
all
make
his
some
business
money
cards.
and then
Yeah.
just snap.
Damn. All right. So the next question is, and I asked this one because, so for me, as I shared earlier, my goal is to eventually write for Marvel or DC. That's it. That's the goal. That's the end goal for me. That's what I want to do. I need to write Spider-Man one day. I don't care if it's for the Hostess Twinkie package. That's 8 pages. Like that's a small mini
That's
comic.
the premiere one, man.
Yeah. Come on, man.
All right. Well, that one's hard to get. Probably Dan
Anybody-
Slott already took that one, but the other one, because Dan Slott really wants his amazing bag. I'll just tell you, he'll do anything.
He's taking it.
Um,
One Twinkie at a time.
one drinky at a time. That hey, that's really mean to call Dan Slott.
That was not the intention.
um, so for you though, because that's my level up. What does leveling up look like for you, Jonathan? Where's the top goal? What is it? What are you looking for? What's the end?
Well, the top goal is to be able to work in comics full time. That is the main goal for whatever that looks like. Does that mean me no longer being able to write but running my own comic book store? That whatever that means, I get me working in comic books full time. The next step, the next level up that I'm seeking is like an IP of a known established property, like like for example, Dynamite is now has releasing all these Disney characters. They got Darkwing Duck, Gargoyles, all
Maleficent, Scar.
exactly, the Disney villains. For someone to give me the reins on a well-known,
Jafar.
established character, and then I get to expand upon them, like
That's cool.
someone saying, "All right, Jonathan, we want you to write RoboCop," and then me being able to like somehow go back in time and getting to tell Jonathan, who just came out of RoboCop 2 in the movie theater, like, that was awesome, right? Well, guess what? You get to write the RoboCop comic book when you're 43, 40, whatever years old.
Yeah.
So hang tight, little buddy. This is going to be rough for a few decades, but that's what it is. A great next step up would be like, here's an IP of a known property. Have fun with it. Of course, they wouldn't say have fun with it. They'd put all this
RoboCop. It shouldn't be fun,
right? But yeah, Dynamite, I hope you're watching, and if you have the license for RoboCop,
we will forward that. It's gonna be either them or IDW,
right?
So
exactly.
Maybe Titan. It's one of those three you'll work at for RoboCop.
Yeah, right.
The real question is, are you going to go back and tell that 8-year-old son you will also be as bitter at RoboCop as Frank Miller was when he wrote the screenplay for it? Because I feel you should let him know that could happen as well.
It's going to be over a few decades that make it make sense for you to write RoboCop.
I'm going to tell him, don't go see RoboCop 3.
Yes. That's the two. You go back in time, and those are the two things you tell your past self. I love it. That's actually my last question.
Do you see RoboCop 3?
Yes. And why? No, you actually kind of covered my last question. Is like, what is your next level up? Oh. So I'm going to double back on Travis's and go. So that's your next level up. What is you're 143 because science.
Yeah.
Cloning.
In cloning, you're the third iteration of Jonathan Hedrick. They're working out the kinks. You have 3 kidneys.
Okay.
What is what is the peak? What is the I did this, it's time to look in the sunset, I have leveled up as far as I want, aside from I'm too old to be writing.
Right.
Like, what's that big thing that is like the ruby gem in the Cave of Wonders?
It would be a Marvel or DC series too. It would be one of those, getting like a not just like here's a backup story and this one title, but it would be like to have the honor and privilege to have like a long career spanning run on, like Dan Slott's had on so many great titles, or just to be able to add so much to the history and mythos of already established over a long period, 80 plus year characters life. Yeah, I think that would be like the cherry on top, of course.
Like the Williamson flashes,
right.
You get the thing and then you get it for a long time.
Right.
It's yours for a while.
Exactly.
You're not trying to make 6 issues and it's a cool story. It's
right.
Here's the character. what's his trajectory for the next 3 years?
Exactly. And that also scares the hell out of me at the same time.
That's terrifying.
I read in Scott Snyder's Substack recently that he was talking about, writing Batman. He's like, the whole entire time I felt like at any moment they would discover that I'm a fraud. Like that's how I would feel that, but worse.
Yeah.
No matter how much money you put in my bank, I'd be like, yeah, you're going to take that money away, aren't you? You're going to want that money back.
Somehow you're going to take it back.
Right. So
based on everything you've said and your love for, RoboCop and established titles like Dynamite or Titan or IDW could have, and working at Marvel, I have the title for you.
What's that?
You ready? Jonathan Hedrick's Elf. ALF, you could continue the long-running tradition of Elf from Marvel Comics.
Oh my God.
Bring it on.
I'm pulling that immediately. When I see that in previews, I'm like, I need A, B, C, and D. Thank you very much.
Elf gets that many covers too?
Oh, that's awesome. Well, it's the Marvel Elf.
Yeah. Yeah, bring it on. I was a big fan of Melmac. I had the Alf lunchbox. I watched
the love of cats could come in and you could teach him.
There's so much story there. I've already given away too much.
There's so much story there.
Yeah.
I like the idea of it's Alf, but it's my Alf story, because everybody cares about this, obviously, would be the sitcom was real, but Alf is also real.
Right.
And it's Alf's life post sitcom, so it's BoJack Horseman meets Alf.
Right, that would be cool. He comes off the set and he's like still Alf. Goes home. It's like a full Ted situation where he's got a human wife.
Yep. Has lots of money but just listless.
Yeah. Or we could do Alf after the show's been canceled, and he has to do convention circuits and
doing signings.
And
posing for a lot of selfies.
Yeah, and has to say the same catchphrase over and over again.
He eats cats, but it's with no joy.
Right. Yeah. or his cardiologist is like, you can't eat cats anymore, Al. Sorry.
You need low sodium cats from now on.
Yeah. So he has to eat synthetic cats. It's a super bad time in Alf's life. But Hollywood's they love nostalgia, so they're thinking about rebooting Alf. But are they going to have are they going to recast him? Are they? Is there a new Alf?
Yep.
Hotter, new, younger Alf.
Hotter. It's a super buff Alf.
Yep. Dude, it writes itself.
Right.
Come on. Someone call him Marvel.
Let's pitch this. I don't remember him. I remember him being captured by the aliens. I don't remember him dying.
We'll bring him back.
Well, that was the show. The idea of this is that's why this premise works, because even though he died in the show, that's the show, and now we're outside of the show, and it's after the show's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just trying to make ends meet.
We're doing
His house is an 80s mansion that hasn't been updated.
He's still doing Burger King campaigns with the little puppets.
Right.
Yes.
Oh man, so super good. We gotta do it.
All right. Well, I want just a little. When you get this, I just want just a tiny little credit.
Okay.
Right on the bottom.
That's.
Because that's what shows if you've leveled up.
Gave him Elf, Todd. You can't take all the credit if I gave him Elf.
I gave him Elf, but that's why I'm saying we both need credit. This is a brainstorming thing, but Jonathan's gonna take it because I don't have the talent for that.
Kevin Feige, if you're watching, please. And we will announce it now. David Pepos is next, so we can talk to him directly.
Yep.
Yes.
See who he's got. Tom Brevoort say, Jonathan loves a lot of your titles, but there's one that you guys are missing.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh man, I can't wait for the Venomized Alf cover.
Venomized Alf cover. Alf in with the blinds.
Yeah.
You get blinds Alf.
Oh man.
Oh man. I'm really sad they already did the Ant-Man covers.
Yeah, we can bring it back.
Ant-Man cover would be great.
Yep. All the Alf covers are going to be super niche and they're going to be outdated.
Yes.
Here's all the Skrull Alf covers.
Yes.
And you should
I'm
do a
into
series
this.
of team ups, like elf team ups, like with Rocket Raccoon, Squirrel Girl,
Yes. Yes.
animal, furry, fun related.
Oh man,
Oh,
amazing.
a crossover with Elf Quest, and it's Alf Quest.
Right.
Oh my God, Kitty Pryde and Alf.
Yeah. Oh man.
The
Shadow
cats,
Cat.
Kitty Pryde, Shadow
Oh,
Cat, Black
Yeah.
Panther. Oh my goodness, there's
Oh, man.
so much potential.
Yep.
He goes,
I'm drooling like Alf would be right now.
Yes, I thought you weren't allowed to pitch to
no,
ideas
creatives
to
can pitch
creatives.
to other creatives. That's
Yeah.
that's an interesting rule.
Yeah, and I
If you
don't-
were told you can't, it's because you weren't creative enough. That's what I was.
Oh man, you're gonna break Blake's heart. Don't
Poor
say
Blake. It's not true, Blake. You can pitch. That's a whole different thing, though.
But that's it.
it.
We
Cool.
we have leveled up with.
We have. We
with
for
Jonathan
sure
Hedrick.
leveled up. Yeah.
And we talked way more Alf than I expected, but I'm
I knew
okay
there'd be
with
a
that.
little bit of Alf, but this is more Alf than I was expecting.
I mean, it was bound to come up.
Oh, for sure. It has every episode so far.
Nice.
But
no,
thank you for coming
so
on.
much. Yes,
Thanks for
thank you
having
so
me on.
much.
Yep, it was a pleasure.
Everybody should go check out Quicksand, Dream Master. Go grab Hyper Aware and Caffeinated Hearts. They're fantastic one shots that if you can just find them, you literally grabbed the entire story. They're awesome. Readily available through SourcePoint or through your hopefully your LCS.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully your LCS doesn't have any, but if they do, grab it.
Ask them to order it. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, there's lots of Hedrick to go around probably at your LCS. So go grab some. It's great.
Right.
Thank you.
And if Black Box is still watching, we need that trade.
Yes,
we need that trade.
Yeah,
Dream
let's
Master.
get
We've
that
discussed
Dream Master
it.
trade.
So if you can hear us, we've decided we need the trade
That's how it
ASAP.
works. Yep. The trade masters.
The Train Master.
The trade masters. But
yeah. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, everybody who commented and was here. Thank you. Yes.
so there's
right.
a couple of things for the next couple of episodes. You want to do that with Jonathan here, or do you want to let him go and then we'll talk about those things? We're gonna do it live. F it, we'll do it live, Todd.
Fuck it, let's do it live.
Jonathan, what's the
I don't even know what you're talking about.
What
so
you
I'm
don't?
very excited.
Because it's all excited. So next, so on the 5th we have David Pepos.
The Pepos.
The Pepos is going to come on the 19th.
It's going to be savage, y'all.
It is going to be savage. We're going to talk about all the stuff. Talk about his new Moon Knight primarily, though. He's got a Moon Knight miniseries coming out. It's very cool.
Yep.
Gonna level up with Mr. Pepos. Then we're going to have Richard Fairgraves on the 19th, which is very, very cool. Actually, not the 19th, the 22nd. It'd be
That
the
makes more
22nd.
sense.
But we'll get that. I have to make sure he's still alive for the 22nd because I told him the 19th. I'm sure he is. We'll figure it out. Or we'll do it on the 19th, maybe. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
22nd is a Thursday, so I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out. But
All
the
right.
more important thing is our subs are horrible, Todd. We need to get to 100
It's going,
subs.
but it would be great to get to 100 subs. That would be fantastic.
So what should I give away? I've got all
Probably-
these things. I got a bunch of slabs that just came in. I've got
hopefully something that you own because I wasn't prepared for this.
No, it'll be something. So I've got these. I've got these super rare. Jonathan has one, and we've got the creator copies of Oz, and we've got creator.
Yeah.
These can only
I
come.
got a couple of those.
You do. Actually, you do. Yeah, that's true. What do you think? Because the only way you get it is a creator, or if for some reason I do something crazy, I will give away one
A
creator.
creator one? No.
Yes.
Okay, so this was a hard line. I've asked for everybody who's watching this. I've asked Travis for these because it was really cool, and he was like, "Only creators get these,"
Right.
and we were like tight. And this was before I was proofing for you and like actually involved, and I legit didn't get them. So
Right.
that's pretty cool because they're
Yeah.
nice.
They look
They're-
nice. Yeah. I haven't sold mine, so
I haven't.
I actually get
sold
offended
mine.
if you're watching this. You've sold it. I actually
What
get
a
really
compliment.
offended if you sell it.
Travis will
really-
fight you if you try to make money.
Yeah.
People
off
have
of
sold it. People have sold it, and it offends. Like it's your book. I
Oh.
can't get mad, but I have a couple of people. I was like, you don't
I-
get it.
literally didn't even think about selling it. That's really funny. Wow. All right.
Yeah, one
Well,
person sold it on eBay.
That's
Still
very
hurts me.
cool. So it's a creator edition of Oz, one of the Oz's.
Well, I have Oz. I
Or
have Holiday
one of the
Spirits 1
Cthulhus?
and 2. Those are
Nice.
the things. Wonderland is gone. I didn't print enough extra. But we can make that happen. So, what do you say, Todd?
We appreciate that. Honestly, subscribe and just come check it out. And maybe I do love designing things. There might be merch at some point. I'll probably put up a sticker at some point, and that would be like the perfect dollar amount. We do not have that set up, but like, yeah, just come hang out, support. We just really like doing this, and we want to get it into as many
share it when we're live
eyeballs as possible. Also, preferably with your ears, but apparently YouTube only cares about your eyes.
Much like Jonathan, though I've been a little bit longer doing comics than Jonathan, same goal is just we're at the point where I don't know where I'm going. Like where I'm just doing things and hoping they work. So I'm hoping that if I meet with creators who are doing things like Jonathan, one of the things I love about you is you have a huge pulse on what your direct market fans are.
Mm-hmm.
You've got patches and clubs that you're part of. Like, I don't know any of that, right? But at the same time, I'm sure you'd agree with this statement. I have a very good pulse on my Kickstarter market.
Yeah.
Who my Kickstarter people are, what they're doing, who my super fans are there.
Yeah.
And the goal is how do I figure out this? And that's what this came about. How do we level up together and learn something, hopefully talk,
Right.
Me as a creator and Todd as the fan who actually reads this fucking shit. Cause that was important to us is actually people read things.
God for Todd.
Yeah. I buy and read stuff.
And
then I can make pretty things on the screen. That's my thing.
Like you have to break up 1K sub exceeds and watch up. Yeah, I don't want to be a YouTube star. Like neither does Todd actually, which I was shocked. Todd doesn't care about that either.
I don't. This is just fun to do,
fun.
and I like making graphics, and I like just doing this. I don't care.
Yeah, as long as you're having fun, that's the important thing.
That's literally.
If you can have fun while building up to that. That's all that matters.
That's awesome. Yeah. But like, I just really enjoy it. So
yeah.
So do you think we should commit?
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's do. Let's do 100 sub giveaway.
All right. So it's only.
I think we should do the Cthulhu Invades Oz. That's the OG. Right. I think that's the one to do, and then Holiday Spirits can be for like 150 or 200. We can.
Yeah.
We'll go chronologically through Travis's.
Through my work.
Yeah. I've got a Broke Down and 4 Dead Bodies special that we can wait for like 250 or 3 because I have a lot of Broke Down and 4 Dead Bodies. I got the metal ones, so I'm pretty set.
Well, and there's a trade coming out later this month.
There is a trade coming out.
Yep. Somebody here may even have a story in said trade.
What?
Yeah, Todd, you have a story.
I don't remember writing a story.
So, but we will talk about all that at a later date. This is not to promote us. It's to promote John and level up together.
Yeah.
You guys have leveled up. Get us to 100. Share this out. Get us to 100. We'll do the giveaway.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.